So I welcome Dean.
Thank you. Thank you for the platform and the invitation.
No problem.
So I will tell you a little bit about my journey and the work that we're doing. And then I'd love to have a conversation, because I think it's a consultancy between us to identify what our real challenges are, what our major concerns are. And problems have scales, don't they? Violence, serious youth violence is a 10. I'm quite irritated by microaggressions, might be a 3. So we put them into context and where we need to solve them and how we need to solve them. And it's all about the understanding, because unlike the Matrix, there is no one, there is no Neo. We need the amalgamation of our collective experiences for a mapping exercise to understand exactly what all of our challenges are holistically and across the nation, so that we feed back our challenges to our policy directors, not looking for Europeans, our distant cousins, to solve our problems, but we create our policy. And then that's where our relationship with local authority starts, because we want to, just like every true commercial problem that is solved has a commercial service and a fee attached. Now, we don't do that. Everybody else does it and understands it. Refuse collection solves a very real, tangible societal problem. We produce refuse, someone's got to get rid of it. Well, as it stands right now, every single local authority outsources refuse collection. We want to solve African Caribbean problems because we are culturally competent and local authorities aren't, for the best will in the world. And unfortunately, whether it is us going into a machine, and as they say, there's no such thing as a river without banks, we're not changing anything, because party policy, legislation can be changed like that to contain us. So for all of our ideologies, sometimes you've got to say that I'm licked. But where you may use trains and underground systems, not all of them have barriers. So we look for the anomalies to enter a system. And then once we understand the anomalies to enter a system, we build our systems on top of those systems so that we can live in a parallel universe, not unlike our Yiddish brothers and sisters live in their own parallel universe. And some adept Muslim communities and Sikh communities live in their parallel universe. But this goes by us. Now, they solve their own problems with public resources, which incidentally they contribute to, but so do we. So we just want our share of those resources that we contribute to solve our own problems based on superior policy that has formed initiatives that we need you to pay for, because someone's always got to pay. So that's been our challenge. I had my retail, which was the last of probably 8 businesses for 11 years, over the course of 27 years. And when I closed that, I wanted to go fully into the civic and entrepreneurial space. And I said, I want to apply my entrepreneurial acumen to civic work, because I don't think the two are mutually exclusive. We know this because there's refuse collection, which is outsourced for hundreds of millions a year, right? So it was whittling down the model by tens of thousands of hours of conversation, which didn't start last year, actually started about 5 years ago. I would meet connections on LinkedIn, take them for a drink or to dinner and pick their brains. This was in the think tank stage of the solution room. Now, over the course of that time, I built up such an inordinate amount of connections. It needed to be more than a think tank. It needed to be an institution, because I personally wasn't capable of dealing with the fallout of 1,000+ names of individuals. It's too much for an individual. It has to be in systems that are record keeping, can break people down into their areas of expertise, And now we start to work with something as a very solid foundation where we can say, well, this is an institution now that we're forming. And we're very specific. The basis of this is to solve African Caribbean problems, not to make money. So money is a byproduct of what you do successfully, and we get it twisted. See, if you come out the gate to make money, the first thing I would have said, look, nobody cares about us. We got to do the main thing, and I've got to get everybody involved. No. Nobody's giving us grants because they know what we've come to do, because I've been a little too vocal as a founder, and we've got to take money to promote the vaccine agenda. No. So if we've got to go for a stretch without money, we've got to go for a stretch without money. So that was 14 months with no income. Designing, evolving, making more contacts, making more inroads to those with budgets who are allies on the inside, and just gently steering, evolving the model until it became a very solid business model of civic solution partnerships, where we have policymakers on our side who design policy that creates initiatives to solve our problems that we then offer to local authority to pay for the African Caribbean constituents in their local ward. And then it's a modular and scalable delivery where we get proof of concept and then we just grow it out. So we target 8 boroughs within London. But whilst we're doing that, organizations like Pursuit of Happiness know I will share any of our structure and all of our stuff in one email. Constitution, manifesto, structure of the schools to industry pipeline, the whole thing. Share it very widely because we want to set up these cells, the Hydra, across the entire country, so that when it comes down to it, we actually have a truly representative national representation. So we are just an umbrella that facilitate our advocacy, lobbying on our behalf, also acting as a PAC, where when we start to release short form media content next year, we are telling people how to vote in particular wards. Because in this ward, this is our ally. In this ward here, you vote in Conservative, but in that ward there, you vote in Labour. Because we have agreements that they're going to do what we want. Not after we vote, before we vote. Quid pro quo for our valuable votes based on our collective influence on an election. Not individuals, it doesn't matter. Our collective influence on an election. So when we think like that, it's not that we can't do it, it's that we've not done it. Because we all say it and pay lip service to it. It's a bit like needing a latrine if you have nowhere to defecate. If nobody's going to dig it, yes, we're all aware that we require it because there has to be sanitation that is separate in this dirt space where we're walking and sleeping. But somebody's got to push the shovel in the ground and dig a latrine and fill it with water so that it's fit for purpose. So all ADPAC is a vehicle that is doing the digging, asking us to come on board and dig to the same purpose, because the whole point is to identify our common denominators, because we're so separated by tribes. Jamaican, Trinidadian, Nigerian. So let's just take direct tribes out of the equation first of all, which is why I say that the culture can even be more important than the ethnicity. But when you looked at the European Union, which we saw as a functional union, it wasn't a cultural union. It was an economic union to establish an economic bloc. So what our agenda is to establish the almost 3 million population as an economic and an easily identifiable economic bloc in the UK. So when we present, no us in the room, don't talk about us in the room. That there you're carving up for Sikhs and everybody else. And because we now come into lobby to affect the terms of reference, forget politically black, where anybody can self-elect, like Rachel Dolezal. Now, black must mean African Caribbean, or it can't go down, which is the point of collectively bringing people behind one hydra. It represents you, you represent you through it. So now when we're having these conversations, you don't define what is for us anymore, because now we are established enough where we tell you, and then we tell you what our requirements are, because your own constituents are invited via a public consultation, whilst we are going to the officers and councillors and saying these are the services that we provide. So then they inadvertently are becoming stakeholders to request the policies and initiatives that solve their problems. And we've never done it this way around. It's always been reacting to funding. Oh, there's $4,000 that's available. You apply and we'll see. There's 20 grand that's available. You apply. Yeah, we don't like that. Could you change that? Could you involve these people? No. We are a substantial enough population in your ward. So this is specifically for us, by us, based on the resources that we contribute through taxation to your ward.